Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we dive into one of the most powerful and emotional defense stories of our time. In 2026, the Philippines unveiled an upgrade that electrified defense analysts, surprised even its closest allies, and captured the imagination of an entire nation. The transformation of the Shaldag Mk V fast patrol craft into missile-armed strike boats, now equipped with the Rafael Spike non-line-of-sight missile system. This was more than a naval announcement. It was more than the commissioning of a new capability. It was a declaration of sovereignty, a message of defiance, and a challenge to the balance of power in Asia. For decades, the Philippines has lived under the shadow of its larger neighbor. In the waters of the West Philippine Sea, internationally known as the South China Sea, China has advanced its sweeping claims through a combination of island building, massive Coast Guard patrols, and the steady harassment of Filipino fishermen. Each act of intimidation was not just about territory on a map. It was a strike at national dignity, an attack on livelihoods, and a constant reminder of imbalance. Small wooden fishing boats found themselves staring up at white-hulled giants 10,000 tons in size. Supply missions to remote Philippine outposts were blocked, shadowed, or delayed. For ordinary Filipinos, the frustration of knowing their navy could do little in return became a wound that cut deeper with every headline. This is why the 2026 upgrade of the Shaldag Mk V resonated so strongly. When Manila unveiled the Acero-class fast-attack interdiction craft carrying Rafael's Spike non-line-of-sight missiles, it was not just hardware being presented. It was a loud national response. No more silent endurance, no more helpless patrols. For the first time, small Philippine vessels had the means to impose real costs on anyone who tried to bully them. With this upgrade, the Philippines told the world, and especially its larger neighbor, that the game had changed. The Shaldag Mk V itself is an Israeli design, built by Israel shipyards. The Philippine Navy acquired them as part of a modernization effort and reclassified them as the Acero class. Traditionally, vessels of this size carried little more than a light cannon or a heavy machine gun. They were fast, agile, and useful against pirates or smugglers, but they stood little chance against a modern warship bristling with missiles and radar. According to Asian Military Review's November 2024 feature, the Navy's vision was always to transform these patrol boats into missile carriers. For years, sailors imagined their sleek new craft armed with weapons powerful enough to alter encounters at sea. In 2026, that vision was realized with the integration of the Rafael Spike non-line-of-sight missile. Suddenly, a patrol craft barely 32 meters in length gained the ability to strike targets more than 25 kilometers away with pinpoint precision. This changes everything. As Naval News reported in early 2025, the presence of missile-capable patrol boats transforms the deterrence picture in the West Philippine Sea. A Chinese frigate or Coast Guard cutter can no longer assume superiority simply by its size or tonnage. Somewhere behind the cover of an island, racing across shallow channels, or hugging the complex geography of the archipelago, a Shaldag Mk V could be waiting with its Rafael Spike NLOS missiles armed and ready. In naval warfare, doubt is as powerful as firepower. The uncertainty that every encounter now carries, that a small Philippine craft could deliver a crippling strike, creates hesitation. That hesitation is deterrence. To the ordinary Filipino, this upgrade means more than shifts in naval strategy or numbers on a defense budget. For years, they watched their fishermen driven from traditional fishing grounds. They saw supply runs to troops in the Spratly Islands blocked by enormous Chinese vessels. They felt the sting of helplessness when reports showed their navy shadowed or outmatched. But when images of upgraded Shaldag Mk V boats appeared, sleek, bristling with sensors, and armed with deadly missile launchers, the mood shifted. Pride surged. According to the Philippine News Agency, naval officers described the commissioning ceremonies as deeply symbolic, moments that combined military progress with national spirit. In the cheers of sailors and the applause of citizens, one could hear more than excitement about ships. It was the sound of defiance, the sound of hope returning to a nation that for too long felt ignored at sea. Imagine the contrast. On one side, China deploys colossal Coast Guard vessels displacing more than 10,000 tons, armed with water cannons and reinforced hulls strong enough to ram smaller boats. These ships are floating fortresses, meant to dominate by size alone. On the other side, the Philippines deploys smaller but faster Shaldag Mk V boats. They do not rely on size but on speed, agility, and cutting-edge precision technology. They dart across the waters like shadows, difficult to pin down, and each one now carries the Rafael Spike NLOS system capable of striking with lethal accuracy. This is David versus Goliath in maritime form. The symbolism could not be stronger. As one analyst put it, the Shaldag Mk V upgrade is not about matching China ship for ship. It is about ensuring that every act of aggression carries a risk too high to ignore. The technical details of the system deserve attention. The Shaldag Mk V is among the fastest vessels in its class, reaching speeds above 40 knots. This gives it the ability to sprint into or out of combat zones faster than larger opponents can track. Its shallow draft allows it to maneuver in coastal areas and narrow passages where frigates cannot safely operate. In the Philippines, a country of thousands of islands, this home field advantage is crucial. Equipped with modern radar and advanced electronic systems, these boats can detect, identify, and track targets well beyond the visual horizon. And when it comes time to strike, the Rafael Spike non-line of sight missile delivers. With a range exceeding 25 kilometers, electro-optical guidance, and man-in-the-loop control, it allows Philippine operators to select and hit targets with surgical precision, even when line of sight is blocked. A vessel hidden behind an island can destroy an adversary without ever exposing itself directly. This upgrade also carries psychological weight. Naval officers understand that warfare is not just about the weapons you possess but the uncertainty you create in your opponent. A Chinese commander approaching Philippine waters must now account for the possibility that a small, nearly invisible craft could unleash a missile strike from miles away. That risk forces caution, delays aggression, and complicates planning. For a nation like the Philippines, which cannot hope to match China's fleet ship for ship, creating that pause, that hesitation, is a victory in itself. For the Philippine Navy, this transformation marks a coming of age. For years, modernization plans struggled with budget limitations, political debates, and logistical delays. Ships were promised but not delivered, or arrived years later than expected. The Acero class with Spike NLOS missiles, however, arrived on time and in force. It showed that the modernization effort was not just words on paper. It proved that the Navy could plan, acquire, integrate, and deploy cutting-edge technology effectively. For sailors and officers, this was a morale boost of the highest order. They were no longer operating outdated vessels with obsolete weapons. They now commanded modern warcraft, capable of standing tall in contested seas. Beyond the military sphere, the effect of the Shaldag Mk V upgrade rippled through society. In newspapers and television reports, images of missile-equipped boats were presented alongside interviews with fishermen, lawmakers, and military veterans. Ordinary citizens expressed pride and relief. They felt that finally, their government was investing in defense that truly mattered. Politicians across the spectrum cited the upgrade as proof of determination. Even regional neighbors took notice. Vietnam, Malaysia, and Indonesia watched closely, seeing in the Philippines move a sign that smaller states could push back against larger powers by embracing speed, agility, and advanced technology instead of chasing massive fleets they could never afford. The symbolism of this upgrade will echo for years. A small, fast boat armed with missiles represents resilience. It represents a refusal to be cowed by size or force. It speaks to the Filipino spirit, resourceful, determined, unwilling to surrender. The Shaldag Mk V with Rafael Spike NLOS is not the largest ship in Asia, nor is it the most heavily armed. But it is enough to remind the world that the Philippines is no longer silent, no longer helpless, and no longer willing to allow its sovereignty to be ignored. And so, as these vessels speed across the waters of the West Philippine Sea, they carry more than missiles on their decks. They carry the pride of a nation, the determination of a people, and the message that in the struggle for dignity, size alone does not decide the outcome. The Philippines has found its voice at sea, and through the sharp edge of the Shaldag Mk V, that voice will be heard.